Yo, what's up guys? It's the new sensation, Bigger Notation here, and today I've literally just finished playing up in the regionals, the European regionals hosted by Raid and Trade, and I've just managed to finish 7th place, going 5-1. There was 6 rounds in total, so 5 wins, 1 loss, with Black Trunks. I ended up 5-1, so I was actually the lowest tiebreaker of the 5-1s. The 5-1s were all from 2nd to 7th, so kind of unfortunate. I could have made top 4 with the record that I had, but seemed to have, fairly poor tiebreakers in comparison to the rest of the X1s, so a bit unfortunate there, but I'm still very proud with the result. Sorry if this video ends up being a little bit rambly. I'm not going to be going over a lot of the cards here because it's a fairly standard Trunks list, and I'm also running on 3 or 4 hours of sleep because last night I was up until about 5 AM playing in the Fight Night hosted by Kayakin Cards. Shout out to Kayakin Cards, great tournament, always fun to play in those. And then went straight into the regionals at 9, so I got a good 3 or 4 hours sleep in between. So I've been exhausted all day. I don't feel like I played today very well. There were some games where I think I played decent. There were some games where I made awful misplays and very, very nearly lost where I shouldn't have. But these things happen, and make sure to get some good sleep tonight, right guys? But yeah, we'll hop into the deck. So Trunks, the main reason why I picked this deck after playing Stream Salsa was because I knew that I was going to be playing in Fight Night and I wanted an easy deck to play. I think this deck is very easy to play. I think that as long as you have a good general game sense, then this deck is just a good one to pick up. If you enjoy playing black at the moment, it has very strong matchup into Green Gohan, very strong matchup into Android 21. It has a decent yellow matchup, I'd say. I think it does pretty well into Golden Frieza, and against Majin Vegeta it's kind of 50-50. I do need to test that matchup more. I kind of didn't play against any Majin Vegeta in preparation for this. But yeah, I think all around the deck is very strong. It's definitely one of the higher end black decks at the moment. And I think it has a very good matchup spread, and I think again it's also very easy to play. There's very little that you do differently in between each matchup. You just kind of play the same game every game with what the deck wants to do, and the deck does it so efficiently and so well that it will generally just kind of carry you. It felt like it carried me today, I'm not gonna lie. But we'll hop straight into the deck. So it was best of 1 pre-side for those that don't know. Unfortunately not a best of 3 event because it's obviously a webcam event. The Trunks leader, you already know what it does. We'll hop straight into the list. So I was running 4 of the Unison and 4 of the Kai. I think 4 and 4 is a must-have for this. I initially tested 3 copies of the 1-drop Kai a little bit, but seeing these cards in your opening hands to help you awaken early by getting the Unison out early is amazing. And getting turn 1 Unison, especially if you go first, is the most broken thing that this deck can do. It's really disgusting because it sets you up for a 5-drop on turn 2, and you just kind of pop off from there. You get a 5-drop on turn 2 plus an overarm. Turn 3 you can just look to kill them most of the time. Yeah, turn 1 Unison is crazy. If you see any of these in your opening, you keep at least 1 copy of each of them, and then you just kind of, if you're missing one of the 2, then you search for the other one. But it helps you awaken early, it helps you fill your warp up. You need your Unison to Z-awaken, you need your Unison to get your leader skill to remove stuff, and it gives you a load of draw power as well. So very, very strong card. And then for the remainder of the Self-Awakeners, we have 4 Gohan and 3 Goten. I think 7 is fine in total for these. I tried 6, it felt too inconsistent. I don't think I whiffed on these guys at all because we also have the Kais as well at 4. So in total there's 11 cards that you can see. Granted, the Kai is a bit more situational because you do need the Unison to go alongside it. But in total there's about 11 cards that you want to be searching for to help you awaken. And I didn't have a game today where I couldn't find one of these 11 cards on turn 1 to kind of kickstart the awaken. The games where you don't find them does suck, but it's definitely recoverable. And yeah, that turn 1 Unison is just the play to look for, to be honest. And then 4 5-drops, because this is kind of the card that you just play every turn. Apart from your kill turn, I find most of the time on your kill turn you don't have the opportunity to play this card if you're playing secret rare, because you often want to play Secret Rare and then play like a load of one-drop cards, because you want to play like Vegeta alongside the Goku Overrealm. You want to play Majin Buu. You want to potentially play a Double Striker from Warp or Thwarting. And you want to make sure that you're playing like cheap things that can also remove token negates. So playing this on kill turn, often you don't do if you have Secret Rare. If you don't have Secret Rare, you just kind of play this card every turn to get free Overrealms, because the deck doesn't have any way to fill its drop without this card until you get to Z Awaken. Once you get to Z Awaken, this card becomes a lot less relevant, to be honest. But again, once you get to Z Awaken is when you start to look for those kill turns. And then the 2 8-drops to go alongside it. This is just for nice barrier removal. I think I played this guy maybe like twice throughout the day. It really doesn't come up all that often, but it's a very strong card to have, because there are some games where you can just catch someone out with a 1 energy triple strike. It's a barrier guy, so it's really hard to remove, and you know, it's black, so we do definitely need some barrier removal where we can take it. This is kind of like the answer to the 4-drop sin when you're playing against yellow, or well, any of the many yellow barrier cards, to be honest. And then 2 of the Trunks. So this is effectively a double striker for 1 energy when you and you play it from Warp. And you have to Spirit Boost 1, so again, you need your Unison in play for this guy. But these are kind of all the cards that we've just been through are kind of all the cards that you want to be warping early, or warping off of like your leader skill when you swing. This card is nice to have. It's one of those cards where it doesn't come up all that often, but there's no card that you'd really run over it, I don't think. And there are definitely games where this card will just win you a game because you need that 1 extra double strike swing that you didn't have before. And there are some really nice situations where your opponent will be on 2 life, let's say, and you have 2 energy open, and you can pay 1 for this guy from Warp to swing, threaten the double strike all in, and then if they token negate, you can then pay 1 energy for Boo to remove the token and swing 25. So that's something that I end up doing quite a lot, is like using this card to force out a token negate to then kill with Boo. Yeah, that does end up coming up quite a lot, but it's definitely still a card worth running in my eyes. And then Overrealms, we're running 4 Goku, 3 Vegeta. I don't think 4 Goku is necessary, but there's nothing I'd really run over it. And again, it's like you want to keep the Saiyan count high in this deck. So 4 Goku is good. This combo is just like, it just carries black, to be honest. Especially like any black Saiyan warp-centric decks or drop-centric decks. Like this combo just carries black right now. And then 1 Thwarting to go alongside it. 2 Bardock Overrealm in the main. Again, this card is just ridiculous. Playing this card in Shroom Salsa felt broken. Playing this card in this deck feels broken. I will say it feels a lot less like turn ending than it does in Shroom Salsa, because in Shroom Salsa you have a lot more kind of freedom to do stuff during your opponent's turn with all of the like free combos that you get, especially because you have a Z leader that can free combo on opponent's turn, and you can I think in Shroom Salsa as well, generally, you're a lot more energy efficient. You can afford to leave more energy open for the opponent's turns. In this deck, you want to be playing that 5-drop Trunks kind of every turn. And then this is also going to cost another energy to Overrealm in. So it's obviously still a crazy good card for black. You still definitely play it, and it's a black Saiyan as well. But yeah, just a comparison to Shroom Salsa, the set 12 one. I do feel like the card felt a lot stronger in Shroom Salsa, just because the deck can play a lot more defensively. This deck, the defense feels kind of scarce at times, just because a lot of the defense is reliant on you taking your own life with like token negates or Gohan rares. Other than that, like, it is just a case of you have to have a bigger hand to then combo out of their swings. Obviously the 20k Z leader helps as well. And then Vegeta super combo. I don't see a world where you ever run any other super combo other than this in the deck. People can run is it the Goten that draws a card when you have 5 or more cards in Warp? I don't think that's as good as the Vegeta. You can take yourself down to 4 life much easier now with the fact that the Kai can play the Unison and take your own life down. So I don't think you'd ever run the Goten over this. Because ideally what you want to do is use the Kai to play the Unison for 1 and take yourself down to 6 life. And then that means the second you're awakened, if they swing at your Unison, you restand your leader, block the swing, take the damage, go to 5, and then you have token negate live. And then once you token negate, you have Gohan Rare live, and then you're Z awakened. So as long as you see 1 Kai at all throughout the early game, this super combo is just going to be fine. Like, I don't see where you'd run the Goten in my eyes, to be honest. And again, like, eventually decks are going to have to attack you to kill you, so you will go to that 4 less life threshold. And once you get to Z Awaken, it is really where you start to put on a lot of your pressure, because having a 25k double strike Z leader for free is really nice, and getting all that juicy removal for free. Secret Rare is Evil saying, there's no world where you play another Secret Rare in this deck for now. 2 Gohan Rares. I love this card, especially in this deck because again it's a Black Saiyan, but like this card is so good for black. It feels like a better token negate a lot of times. 2 token negates. I think one of my mistakes in this tournament going into the building the deck or going into the list was I should have sideboarded a 3rd token negate, because I really underestimated how necessary these are in the green Gohan matchup, because you need to use them to stop the leader swings in case they run the triple strike SCR. And there was one turn against one of my green Gohan matchups where if he had seen that SCR, because I had to use both of these super early, if he had seen that SCR on the turn that he had got a leader attack through, he probably would have just won the game. So I definitely think sideboarding a 3rd copy of this was correct, because this card actually does work in the green Gohan matchup. And they also struggle to remove the token, because a lot of greens, like KOing, is reliant on the card having a certain energy cost, which obviously tokens won't. So yeah, well, I guess we'll get into that a bit more when we go to the side deck, but I think siding a 3rd copy was definitely correct there. A lot of matchups this card does come out though, like against any yellow deck, this just comes out instantly. 2 Petrification, this is just better than Kai Negate right now. And again, against green Gohan, it's going to put in the work. Against Android 21, it's going to put in the work. And against yellow, you can use it to like blank a Sin if you don't want to bother removing it the next turn. So that then the Sin can't negate your skills on your turns. 2 Super Kamehameha just to push through those floodgates. This card I feel like didn't... It definitely comes up, obviously. It didn't come up as much as I expected it to today, but that's probably just because I played against a couple green Gohans. But yeah, it does feel like people are less reliant on floodgates now. It feels like this is mostly an anti-yellow card. Sometimes it comes up against blue, but against defending friends, like you don't care about Super Kamehameha-ing it unless you're getting to your Z Awaken, because you can just swing through defending friends. It doesn't really matter. And then the last 4 cards are just 4 like one-of Black Saiyans, which we chucked in. I sided out a combination of these 4 cards pretty much every game. I never used the Dark Broly. I think I sided out every game. I never used Brainwashed, and I never used Pan. In fact, I never used any I never used any of these 4 cards. Even in the games where I kept them in, they were either just charged or like discarded or warped off leader skill. These are like the big flex spots. I think you definitely want to keep them as Saiyans because to keep the numbers high, but you could probably run like Trunks Overrealm. We were trying the Trunks time regulator in the deck for a little while, and it felt nice just to fix some early hands, like where you bricked or where you wanted to cycle stuff back into your warp early. I genuinely think Trunks Overrealm might be better than some of these cards. I think going forward, I would cut the Brainwashed and the Pan maybe for 2 Trunks Overrealm, or maybe this guy. Like I quite like the Dark Broly, but I definitely think 2 Trunks Overrealm going back in would be fine. Pan is just like such a useless card. This card, I hate this card. It's so bad, genuinely. The rest of these cards have their moments. Black Marseille is really nice against yellow. Brainwashed is kind of just for that surprise factor, but there were a couple of times where I was kind of hiding behind it, and it did give me that safety net, but I never ended up using it because it never came up. Like again, most of your defense is going to be taking your own life anyways with the token negates and the Gohan Res. So this card, it rarely comes up just because you're not going to have enough life to take. Like I say, this is really good against yellow. This is just a nice value piece, especially if you don't see a 5-drop early. You can just start playing this guy out from warp. And then this card just sucks. Don't play Pan. It's really, really a useless card. But yeah, I could definitely see myself putting back in 2 Trunks time regulators. We were also, like initially, these 4 cards were 2 Trunks time regulators and 2 of the Marseillan from the anniversary box, but the Marseillan doesn't really come up for this deck, I don't think. But Trunks is definitely nice to fix the early hands. Z deck, 1 Z leader, of course, 3 Boo, 1 Pan, 1 Surmounting, and 1 Goku. I mean, to be fair, these 3 cards do not really come up. I've never played this Goku. Surmounting has come up for me just so that I can get to Super Kamehameha range sometimes, a little bit early. And Pan, for the first time ever, came up for me today because I needed to get 2 Z energy into my drop for an Overrealm. And I was against a yellow deck, so I didn't want to risk playing Boo for 1 Z energy, because if he T-blowed the Boo, I wouldn't have a way to get to the 6-in drop for the Bardock Overrealm. So I just played Pan as a way to ditch 2 Z energy for 1 energy, and then I used the Pan as a rest target for like a riposte so that I could swing with the Overrealm that I brought in. But like, genuinely, there's no point running 4 Boos because a 4th Boo will never come up, so you might as well run a combination of these 3 cards, or Demigrit if you really want. But I think these 3 are like the most likely to come up. And then Z Leader and Boo, you definitely just run copies of them anyways. And then side deck, I was siding a second Black Marseillan again for yellow. Going forward, I don't know about this card. It feels like it comes up once per game against yellow, but if you don't see it, it can really hurt. But I think I also, since my time playing Shroom Salsa, I definitely overestimated the energy efficiency of this deck. So there were definitely times where I just couldn't afford to leave enough energy open for this card. And so I ended up never even playing the card today. So going forward, maybe I just keep the 1 copy in the side and then cut the 1 in the main completely for the Trunks time regulator. I think that could be fine. You could get away with 2 copies of this. Like, the thing with my sideboard right now is there's a lot of cards where they're like not great, but there's not many cards that I can replace them with at the same time. I was on 4 Petrification in total in the deck, and I'm not gonna lie, this felt amazing. Shout out to Mikey. I mean, well, big shout out to Mikey anyways, because he worked on me throughout this, like, building this deck for so long. He was a lot of the brains behind the deck for sure. But in our Shroom Salsa discussion video that we did previously, when we both did really well with Shroom Salsa the last week in the regionals, he was saying that he wanted a 4th Petrification because he was using it on the Vegeta when going. If you go first against Green Gohan, you can use it on the Vegeta. Or, I mean, in Shroom Salsa, you can use it going second. But in this deck, you want to get that early Awaken with the paying 1 to play guys from Warp. So I ended up siding it. I ended up chucking a 4th copy in, and then I would side both copies in against Green Gohan. And yeah, it definitely came up for me where turn 2, they'd go for the Vegeta to play the Vegeta from under the field and swing combo the Trunks. I petrified it. And I don't think he even, like, he couldn't get a Goku Gohan combo under his field for the rest of the game, I don't think, just because he couldn't afford to. And then I was able to find more petrifications later on for the 8 drops. So I think running 4, honestly, in like black decks going forward is going to be really key, not gonna lie. And yeah, especially in the Green Gohan matchup for this deck, stopping that Goku Gohan combo is really, really key, or at least stalling it out for as long as possible, because you need to Spirit Boost to Z Awaken, and the Gohan from that combo removes 2 markers from your Unison, so it actually becomes really easy for them to kill the Unison. Like, I was only ever playing Unison in that matchup if I could petrify the Vegeta to stop them going into the Goku Gohan as early, or if I could then Z Awaken on the same turn. Because I needed to guarantee that I could get to the Z Leader at some point during the game, because this card is just a powerhouse. 3rd Super Kamehameha. I'm kind of starting to fall out of love with this card in this current meta, but I think it's still a necessity. Just if you play against yellow decks, this card is crazy, and because we've got 2 in the main, there are still definitely games outside of playing against yellow decks where the card will come up. Again, big shout out to Mikey for this tech. Like I say, I was up at God knows what hour last night playing Fight Night, and throughout it I was messaging Mikey going, yo, what are the last cards I can fit in this sideboard, because I have like 4 spots open and I have absolutely no idea what to put in. He suggested the Ultimate Dark Dragon Slaying Bullet. It didn't come up for me in the end. I did play against 1 Golden Frieza, it didn't come up for me, but it was very nice to have in hand just as a threat, so that I knew that I could safely push harder, because I wasn't scared of his Unison pop-off turns because I had this in hand, and I wasn't scared of his Golden Cooler pop-off turns because I had Petrification in hand. So this is definitely a very good call. And again, like, this deck, there's a lot of cards in this side deck where they're very situational, but there's nothing else that is really that much better in my eyes. 2 Gohan, this is just kind of for blue decks outside of Android 21. I don't think I'd side this in against Android 21 just because they can tap it down and remove it so easily. But against any other blue deck, it is really, really good because a lot of the time their only way to remove this is going to be by using the Birasi battle card, and you just Super Kamehameha that every single time. 1 Hunt, again for Green Gohan. I think Mikey was siding 2 copies of this. I need to ask him how that went for him, to be fair. This is not a necessary card to win the Green Gohan matchup. I didn't see this in any of my Green Gohan games, which is why I've just got it at 1. But it's one of those cards where it's nice to have in the case that like you do see it and you do. In fact, I did see it in one of my Gohan games, but it didn't end up coming up because you used token negates instead of the uneasing on the turn that I tried to kill. But it's one of those cards where it's just nice to have. Then I was siding a third 8-drop. This is mostly for yellow because I was scared of Sin coming down and just shutting me out of the game, or a combination of the Sin and the Goku Z battle card that can lock leaders and rest a load of stuff, and also Poutine, and also the Polish Spice with the grandpas. So I was siding a third one. I don't know if this is necessary, to be honest, but again, it's a good card to have against yellow. I need to test more against yellow. I really came underprepared for the yellow matchups. Like the only yellow matchup that I really know how to play with this deck is Golden Frieza, because I've been playing a load with Peter Dance. Shout out to Peter in preparation for these regionals. So like other yellow matchups, I'm kind of lost on. I'm not gonna lie. But I think the third 8-drop is not a bad shout. Just so that you see it more consistently to remove the Sins and the Goku Z battle cards, etc. 2 Shins. I think this could have easily been a 3 of, but I didn't run 3. There's no real logic behind it. I think you can definitely cut some cards for the third copy of this. In fact, no, there is logic behind it. That's what I was thinking. Because past this card is mainly for Vegito. I don't think I have the space to side this card in the Green Gohan matchup because of the fact that it would mean that I'm cutting too many Saiyans in that matchup, and it's just going to make the whole deck inconsistent. And the deck is favored against Green Gohan anyways, so you shouldn't be making the deck inconsistent for that matchup, because consistently it's going to beat that deck if you keep it consistent, if that makes sense. So I don't think you side this in against Green Gohan. I think you mainly just rely on Petrification, and then you can side in like 1 Hunt. But this is mainly for Vegito, because Vegito is kind of scary if they get their big pop-off with like SCR turn 3 and everything. But my logic behind siding 2 copies is that if you see 1, then you're golden. You can just play it like going into their turn 3, and hopefully that buys you enough time. But after their turn 3, they should be leaving 1 energy open for Resolve Renewed if you stay on 3 energy. So multiple copies of this card is kind of not going to come up. You could still make an argument for running 3 for sure, but in my eyes, you just run 2 and you find 1 early. You try and like hard mulligan for it as fast as you can, and then you play it going into their turn 3, and then next turn you can overrun Bardock, and then turn after you try and find Secret Rare to kill. Going into the rest of the side, 1 Pan. This was a very last minute decision because, again, this slot was open and the 2 Dark Dragon Slaying Bullets were open, and I could not figure out what to fill this slot with. I just chucked in the second Pan just in case I play against like some weird aggro decks that will catch me off guard, that might not run very many counterplays. I never sided this card in, and I sided the one in main deck out pretty much every game, I think. This card is trash. Don't play it. It sucks, and I think this would be the first card that I'd cut for the third copy of the Token Negate that I was talking about earlier. And then last 2 cards in the deck are 2 Rebellion Hammer. This is just for Android 21 to hit the 4-drop Floodgates if they ever play it, but they probably don't play it in this matchup because they don't have the chance to. And on top of that, on a turn where they would play it, if you have Secret Rare and you drop Secret Rare, you can just win the game anyways. So it's one of those cards that's nice to have. There's not a lot else that I'd side in against Android 21 other than like Petrifications. Super Kamehameha doesn't do much into the matchup. I think you still keep the 2 copies in main for the kill turn, because you want to stop them from triggering the SCR auto with Defending Friends. So you just Super Kamehameha away the defending friends so that they still then can't play their 4-drop. But I think it's still nice to have just to kind of secure that matchup. And that is the entire list. Main deck is 50 cards as per usual. I've never really got close to decking out with this deck, I don't think. Regardless, like, I understand obviously you warp a lot from the top of your deck early on. And I was warping a lot more than I have done previously because I was paying attention, now that I've played a bit more of the deck, to like if on a specific turn, if I don't have the 5-drop Trunks, I'll be warping a lot more with the top of my deck with my Unison +1, for example, to try and find that specific card, or if I want to find my secret rare on a specific turn. That's like I guess the biggest thing to think about with this deck is like, what do you want to do on a turn, and do you have the cards in warp to do it? And then if you don't, then you can start warping more than you would normally, just so that you can try and find those cards, which is a very relevant thing when it comes to this deck. But again, even with all of that taken into consideration, you shouldn't get close to decking out with this deck unless you play against unless you play against Mill or like some really slow deck, but I don't think any of those really exist in this current meta, so 50 cards is still correct in my eyes, and you want to consistently find those Saiyans early. Going forward, changes I think I'd make, like I say, these 4 cards suck, and I think 2 Trunks Time Regulator would come in place of the Pan and the one of the 2 Must Saiyans here. I don't know. And the 3rd token negating the side is good as well, I think, for Green Gohan matchup. So speaking of matchups, what matchups did I have today? Let's have a look. So round 1 I played against Green Gohan, and like I say, this deck is super favored into Green Gohan. You just kind of petrify everything, and like go as aggressive as possible after that. I think in this game, in fact, I didn't end up going so aggressive because I went second. And going second, obviously this deck is, you know, still strong but a lot weaker. Going first, this deck feels absolutely broken. And again, if this is like, if you want to play a deck that is just going to sometimes win games because you won the dice roll, this is a very, very strong deck for that. Again, another reason why I played it, because if I'm not in a good state to play the game, which I am definitely not today, this is like, if I win a dice roll, I'm probably winning that game, it feels like. But yeah, I went second against this Green Gohan, so I played a lot more defensive. Didn't see a petrification for his early Vegeta, but I don't think I would have really done it anyways, just because I wanted to get the early awaken stuff off. And then I had a turn where I was on about 5 life, I'd say, and I decided to establish Unison that turn and then pass. And he was building up quite a big board. He had a couple of Kaiokens on board, a Frieza Z-Battle card, which was ripping my hand apart. And I managed to defend my Unison on that turn, even though he played the Gohan from the Goku Gohan chain. So he took it down to 2 markers, but I was then able to block with Leader on 1 swing to take a life, and then token negate to take another life, and then block with the token, and then Z-Awaken either on that swing, or that was the end of his turn, and then he passed to me, and I could then Z-Awaken on my turn. But that's exactly what I needed to do, was to just play the Unison on a turn where I knew that I could get to the Z-Awaken safely before I died, and that is exactly what ended up happening. And then from there, I was able to kill him. I managed to kill him through a Bigger More and an Uneasing Awakened Rage from, I think, 5 life on about turn 4 or 5. It was a very close game for sure. Really lovely guy. All my opponents were really friendly, which I did massively appreciate. Like, everyone was giving me good chat throughout the games. But yeah, I managed to take the first round against Green Gohan. Second round was against, let's see, Majin Vegeta. This is the same guy who I played against on Shroom Salsa, who beat me on Golden Frieza, and he beat me again here. I lost the dice roll again, unfortunately, and on his kill turn, he dropped the 8-drop Goku, and I hadn't seen any petrifications for it, unfortunately. To be honest, he potentially could have killed me through the petrification at the time. I'm not sure. I can't remember the exact game state. But petrification would have definitely been nice to offer me that extra kind of defense there. Given me a bit more of a chance to win the game, let's say. And then round 3 I was against another Green Gohan, but this time I went first, and I got the Unison down turn 1, I believe. And it was just kind of pop-off season from there. The only thing that I struggled with that game was that I didn't see a petrification for his 8-drop at all. So I just took the burn 1 on turn 3, I think. He burned me 1, and then I had to take the double strike, and I was just sat there on 1 life, kind of hoping that I lived, which luckily I did just have the combo power to live out the rest of his turn, and then put on a lot of pressure next turn to take him down to like 4 cards in hand. And I think I ended up finishing it off with a Bardock over Realm, and then just comboing out of his next 2 attacks from his leader swing and 1 battle card swing for the turn. So I managed to take that one. Round 4 was against Blue Baby, again the same Blue Baby player that I played against on Stream Salsa. So I kind of knew what his build was doing. He was running Hatch in the previous version, but I was still trying to play around Beast Gohan, because Beast Gohan is a card in Blue Baby that will just win games. Because me and Tom have tested a lot of Blue Baby. Tom plays a good chunk of Blue Baby, and he plays it very well. So I was still making sure to play around Beast Gohan, because that card, if I don't play around it, will just kill me at times. And luckily he did end up, he was actually playing the Beast Gohan in the end. But again, I went first, I saw Unison turn 1, and the game was just kind of over from there, to be honest. I saw SCR turn 4 as well. So just pushed through from there, and then he ended up having to combo off his Beast Gohan to try and live, and yeah, he wasn't able to live, unfortunately. Round 5 was against Golden Frieza. This was a very interesting game. Again, I tested a lot of this matchup with Peter Dance, because obviously he's real motivated to get that gold Invoker leader, and he's playing Golden Frieza, so I was helping him test the Trunks Xeno matchup, which I think actually ended up helping him out a good bit today. I think he ended up playing against a few Trunks Xenos, but we should also have Peter Dance's updated Golden Frieza list and matchup breakdown from the last regionals on the channel fairly soon, so you guys can stay tuned for that as well. But yeah, Golden Frieza, it was a very interesting Golden Frieza build. It was a lot more oriented around the Goku Frieza Clash 5-drop that you can just play for Z energy every turn. He was using that to cycle a lot of advantage and draw up a lot of cards, which was very frustrating to watch. But he wasn't seeing a huge number of his Frieza army 1-drops early. He saw a couple here and there, but definitely not one every turn until about turn 3 or 4, I'd say. And he didn't get a Unison established early either, because if he established a Unison early, I was going to apply a lot of pressure on that same turn. My game plan going into that was just to use the Gotens to crit him down 1 or 2 life early, whilst he's not awakened, because he wasn't taking his own life, because he knew that he was going to win the late game in that matchup. So I needed to be the one applying the pressure, so he decided not to take his own life, which was a very strong move from him, I think. And then, yeah, I was just using the Gotens to crit a couple life early, and then as soon as I saved my Awaken for turn 3, I believe, because he used, I think he used some sort of negate or something on turn 2 to stop me from having a massive pressure turn. So I just decided I'll sit back, I'll leave him on, I believe, 7 life I left him on, sit back for another turn, and then Awaken turn 3. And then on turn 3 I had a huge turn, played the 5-drop. I already had a Unison in play, so I played the 8-drop over the 5-drop. And then I had like a Goku Vegeta overarm as well to take him down to, I believe, 2 life on turn 3, which was huge. Game went on for a bit longer. I ended up using SCR just to force out Cold Bloodlust so that he would tap down to 2 energy, and then I could Super Kamehameha away the Vegeta that he dropped and hopefully swing through the riposte that he would then drop after. But unfortunately he didn't see the riposte, so I just Super Kamehameha away his Vegito, forced out the Cold Bloodlust, and then he had to use the 1 energy, I believe, to combo off his Secret Rare or something to try and live. And again, yeah, he unfortunately didn't live that time. But it was a very, very good game. And yeah, definitely holding the ultimate Dark Dragon Slaying bullets in hand alongside a petrification felt very nice, because it just meant I could leave 1 energy open every turn and feel like I was safe from whatever kind of pressure he threw at me. And then round 6, unfortunately, I played against my teammate Mikey, who was undefeated up until round 5 and then lost round 5 and then paired against me, which is, yeah, real unfortunate. He's playing the same deck as me. He's playing Black Trunks. We both played the exact same main deck. A couple of changes in the sideboard. We were both very unsure on those last couple of cards in the sideboard that I keep talking about. I think he was playing Koitsukai and Vegeta True Fighting Spirit. So just a couple of differences there. But again, massive shout out to Mikey. He helped me work on this deck for a very long time. And yeah, it made me feel a lot more confident in the list. He did end up winning the dice roll. and he got a very strong start with turn 1 Unison into turn 2 Thwarting, taking me down to 3 life on my turn 1. And then I managed to clap back with another a very strong start from my own end, being I'd managed to drop a turn 2 Unison, Awaken, drop my own Thwarting down to clear out his board and pressure him down to 3 life as well, and then overwhelm a Bardock because the Thwarting plus the Z Awaken plus the Spirit Boost on the Z Leader skill got me 6 in drop for the Bardock overwhelm. Stop his next turn. He answers with his own Bardock Overwhelm on his turn 3, so I'm kind of like, okay, I'm probably losing this game. He swings at me with his 1 battle card swing, being the Bardock Overwhelm, so I take it down to 2, and then he Z Awakens and swings at me with Z Leader, which I then token negate so that I don't die to the double strike. Going down to 1 life, but I need as many cards in my hand as possible because I need to kill him next turn. Because after that turn, he would have SCR live, and as soon as he drops SCR, there's nothing that I can really do about it, just because I'm on the back foot from losing the dice roll already. And so going down to 1 life just to get as many cards in hand as possible, and then going into my turn 3, I have SCR in hand because I've just been trying to dig for it all game, and I have it live because he has 3 or more energy, whereas he didn't have it live because I obviously went second. So I was able to drop it, and then I played a Trunks double strike from Warp because I took him to 2 life with the SCR, played a Trunks double strike from Warp to swing and threaten double strike. And I know that he's running Brainwashed in the deck as well because we're obviously playing the same list, but my logic was if he sees Brainwashed, I probably lose anyway. There's no, like, if he has like Brainwashed plus Petrification because he left 2 energy open, I'm probably just screwed. So I was like, okay, whatever double strike swing that gets through, I have to just combo all in and hope he hasn't seen the Brainwashed. He ended up using the Gohan rare on the double strike Trunks swing that I attacked with, which put him to 1 life, which meant that I no longer had to worry about Brainwashed, and any swing that goes through is going to be a lethal swing if I just combo all in and have more combo power. That was my only 1 battle card swing for the turn, but then I can swing Leader, or I swung Unison first because I figured he'd want to negate the Leader swing, so I just swung Unison first. In hindsight, I probably should have swung Leader first because it gives me more draw power on the Unison swing, but you know, it was late in the day. Yeah, I swung Unison in and comboed all in, and luckily just had more combo power, so managed to take that last game against Mikey. Yeah, I'm very surprised that I managed to win the mirror going second, but it's just Evil Saiyan SCR is like a completely busted card, and there's really no playing around it at times. But yeah, massive shout out to Mikey for helping me put together this deck as well. And you know, we've worked, me and him play a lot of black decks together, so we've worked on a lot of decks together, and we've become you know, 2 very strong minds when it comes to these black decks, which I've enjoyed speaking with him about a lot. But yeah, that's pretty much the list and the matchup breakdown. Like I say, ended 5-1, 7th place, not too bad. Very surprised that I managed to do this well on 3 hours sleep, because my god, I definitely did make some really bad misplays in, I think, both the Green Gohan matchups and the Margin Vegeta matchup. I made very, very, very glaring misplays in all 3 of those games, I think. And yeah, the sleep deprivation was definitely kicking in those early rounds, but managed to pull it back, and I'm very happy with where we ended up. And overall, the T-2 squad finished up very strong overall. So I came 7th, obviously, and I believe Mikey, Peter, and Brad, so the 3 guys here, all finished 9th, 10th, and 11th, all finishing X2, very high tiebreakers amongst them as well. And I believe Giovanni Castaman also finished 22nd on Yellow Sin. So we're going to try and get some deck profiles for each of them up on the channel as well, because we want to show off the team. We know that they're the best players in Europe, and we want them to strut their stuff. But yeah, stay tuned for all of those deck profiles. Other than that, that's been the Black Trunks deck. Give it a try if you want. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.